everybody. Welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob. And in this video we've got good news. Bison is now printing stocks for sale. Now, before we get started, make sure you pause and go get your Trump coffee, because I don't speak English when you're not drinking your Trump coffee. When you're not drinking Trump coffee, don't it sound like yep, 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 yep? Is that what it sounds like? Anyway, I wanted to show the two that I have ready. I'm working on a third one, and I have been a busy bee. So let's start off by showing you the two finished products right now. There is some slight variations in them because as I was adjusting prints, I was printing these things out 100% infill. So when I first started, they didn't look like this. They looked like, well, I done went and lost it. Well, I'll just get you the one and let's show you. Here is the finished product. You have a 4-arm grip with 4 set screws, 2 there, 2 there. It's pretty solid. You get a barrel band with it, with 2 set screws that goes on last. Then you get a block that mounts to your breech with a trigger guard, a Picatinny rail, a top holder. You also get the right size screw that's already in there, because you can't access this screw here to mount it to the gun unless you take this off. And each one of these are different. This one's different because when I first started printing these, I was printing them square right here. Well, this is the new version. So we've already got a new version, because as I go, I see where I can do some changes to make it look a little more stylish. So, but this is a perfectly good one. It still looks just as good. The only difference is it's square here on this one, and then I've got one down there that has not been painted. I'm going to leave that up to the customer. This one here was going to be mine, so I painted mine to look like this, but that's what I have here. This was my original one, so I like the beveled more, the angle here on the end. Just makes it look more stylish. So it'll all come together. It's got a folding stock, and I have tested every one of these on my gun. Every one of them will be tested with my gun. So all of them come with a bolt that holds it to the breech block, or the breech. And this one's different. It's shorter. So put your original one with your stock. So this new stock will come with a new screw. So you get what you see here, and this thing's got a groove in the bottom of it that slides right on the top of this, and that goes together just like that when you get it on your gun. And then the last part is putting the barrel band on. And I tapered that so that it would transition into the barrel band like so. So that works. So that's what we have. I'm going to add them to my site tonight. Watch for it if you're interested in one of these. I was only able to get 2 full buttstocks with the buffer tube, the locking nut, and this. I was only able to get 2 of those. The rest of them were sent to me by Pete at AEA Northeast. He was kind enough to help me out with these, so I've got these that were taken off of guns and just tossed in a box. So they're still useful for me. Well, I didn't have any more buffer tubes. Well, guess what? Bison's to the rescue. There is my buffer tube. Does that not look like the original buffer tube? So I printed it. This is the very first one that was printed. I didn't even do 10% infill just to make sure it was going to work. I was that confident that it was going to work. It's solid. This end, the back end, starts out with a bigger hole. Then it tapers into a smaller hole, so it's considerably thicker. The more you go down, the heavier the plastic is, and the reason I wanted to do that was because we're going to be threading this, which is what I've done, and I had to buy that big monster to do it with. So I don't want to mess up my threads. So then I realized that the tank tube that one of my subscribers sent to me, thank you very much, I can't remember your name, but please forgive me, and I got a burr. He sent me what was left over off of his barrel, and I just laid it on the desk and decided well, I'll keep it here for something. I might use it for something. It's exactly the same size, inside diameter and outside diameter, as the I done lost my train of thought. I've been doing that a lot here lately. Anyway, so I made the buffer tube, and guess what? Slid right in there. And there you go. So now I can take that tank, thread the inside of it, cut them down, and make the castle nuts and do them on the mill, which means I will probably have to make a threaded piece, you know, about that long, that looks just like that has a flat on the side of it, just enough to where I can put it in the mill, thread this, put this in the vise up to about however deep you want to go on your mill for your castle nuts, and then this will be protruding out of the vise. So when you screw your nut down on it, you tighten it real tight, and then you can do your crisscross with the milling bit. So that's the plan anyway, but that's shop talk. So this one here just needs the castle nuts. I do have castle nuts coming, but they'll be March before I get them. If anybody knows where a better place to get them, let me know, because I can't buy from AliExpress. That makes me mad. Everything's cheap there, and I can't buy there. The worst place to not be able to buy from, the cheap store. Anyway, so I'll go ahead and list these and just pay attention to the picture that is in the listing. I'm going to have two different listings. This one's going to have the square one, and let me get the other one. And then we've got the one that's not painted, and it's got the slant on it. These are basically a kit that you have to do trimming and decorating or modifying or whatever. I mean, it's got everything, and it looks stylish. So right here's what it looks like when you're done. So I've got a Westlake scope and two mag holders that I also print, and the only difference is mine is a Cattleman rear buttstock, and I like it better. I'd like to know who sells these, because I'd like to get these exact ones, but we've modified it so that it will fit the hinges. So let me show you that. And I got a McMaster card box. I tell you, these boxes are expensive when you get them from McMaster Car. I just had to order screws for the tops of these and the Picatinny rails, and we wanted them all to be cap screws, because who puts Phillips screws in a gun? Now, there are two Phillips screws in here, but that's for the trigger guard only. They will eventually be cap screws also once I run out of the other ones, but so now we're printing out our own buffer tubes, and we're going to be working on more of these. So like I said, yeah, that transition worked pretty good. So we've got two of these screws that goes in underneath this peg and underneath this screw hole here for the hinge. So then those two mounted the block, squeezed the trigger or the grip bracket, and sandwiched it all together, and it does not protrude into this area here. So if you ever did find that you were getting into your breech, it's so slight you could probably take a frickin' shim, a real thin shim, to put in between here. So but anyway, that worked perfect because it doesn't protrude out of here, and I don't have to cut the screws down or whatever like I did on mine. Mine, you have to I had to cut two of them down to one size and two of them down to another size. So that's why I made this block a little longer that holds all that together. So then you just take your hinge, and I've made up a bunch of those. They're ready to go on the next gun that I'm ready to put together. So we're working on probably, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. There'll probably be 4 more coming up after these are sold. So now let's get to the price. These here, I've got a lot of work in them, and you already know where I'm going with this. I can't just give these away. I got a lot of money in screws, time, labor. I've been working on these for a month and a half and still ain't perfect yet. So as long as I can keep stock coming in and be able to get it ready, available, you know, this having to search for things that you can't get. Of course, this helped me out when I couldn't find that buffer tube, because let's unscrew this. I want to see how close my buffer tube is to that. I want a side-by-side comparison. The hinges I got from Pete. Got 6 of those. So let's just look at this buffer tube. Alright, you see this buffer tube? And you see this buffer tube. They look exactly alike. Now let's take the castle nut off of this one. And see if it will go on this one. You know it will. Well, looky there. Imagine that. Bob must know what he's doing. It printed out real nice inside. And there's my buffer tube. Make it a C&I thing. That would definitely change your point of view. But so now we just got to make some more castle nuts until I get my order in. If anybody's got any old bunch of castle nuts laying around, get with me, man. We'll do some talking. The only difference between mine and theirs, the original, is I don't see it necessary to have this on it. Mine's going on an air rifle. It's not going on an AR. So that's probably has a purpose on a real AR. So mine don't have that, or the groove. I could have put it in there, but it wasn't necessary. So and this is my buffer tube that I make, the one that I'm putting on right now. Seems to work just fine. Fits perfect. Same exact thing. Mine's a little heavier. So anyway, these are the two I'm listing. So like I said, you get the folding stock, you get the block, everything you're looking at, all of it will be assembled. The only thing, the buffer tube will be unscrewed, so I'll put it all together. Let's get this thing off. Alright, so we've got this part. This will all come just exactly the way you see it here. The reason I'm putting this on there is to hold that screw in place, so it's got a place to ride. I ain't got to put it in a Ziploc and separate it, and it takes a chance of somebody losing it. So it's underneath there and can't be taken out until you take the Picatinny rail off. So you got one screw here, one screw here, one screw here, and it takes the exact same Allen wrench as your any scope rings that you get Allen wrenches for. You probably got 1,000 of them laying around. I got this one, but I'm sad I broke it, and I don't know where I'm gonna find another one of these. But I'm gonna have to remake that or something. I broke this part up here and now it twisted on me, so made me mad. And all you do is take that off, take your screw out, take this top piece off, and they are the same size as your scope. So the same Allen wrench you use for your scope rings uses for all these, except for the big one. This one here has a, I think it's an Allen head. If you get one that's got a straight head, that's one I made. If you get one that's got a hex head, that's one I half made. It was already made, I just cut it down. And then I blued them. So one of them's a straight head, and I don't remember which one it is. I don't know if it's on mine or if it's on that one or if it's on this one. But that's what we got. So the price is going to be $350. Free shipping. So we'll see how this goes. There's really no point in printing out a whole bunch more of them until I know if anybody wants these. So probably while I'm doing this video, I'll probably be, or editing the video, I'll probably be uploading it by tomorrow. So this one here, I'll tell you what, now this is a perfect example of what I mean by some of these are a little different per se. This one here, what happened was it printed and it ran out of filament while I was asleep. Dummy me didn't check, but it stopped printing this block to where it got almost to the height that it was supposed to be. It was almost done, and there's like 6 millimeters, I think. Or no, it might be 3 millimeters. It wasn't much. So the block still works just fine. The only difference is it's just a hair lower. It doesn't affect any of the mechanical part of it. So the breech is still going to fit exactly where it's supposed to. The only difference is I had to go in and add the difference of this to the block itself, and it's on the printer now. So basically I just added a block on the bottom of this to make this higher so that it still works the way it should, because this does matter, this part does matter for this squeezing down. If it squeezes down on the tank and it's lacking that much and you try to force it, it's going to break these ears right off. They're not that strong. So I needed to readjust just one, because this is the only one that's ever going to be like this, unless I misprint another one exactly like it. But it's just a one-time piece for this one. So, you know, there is slight variations in them, but they're still workable and look exactly the same. So I'm working on this one. I don't know if it's going to work out right. If it does, then we'll sell this one. The only problem is if you have a part that needs to be replaced and you wanted to buy a part, then I would have to have yours so I can see which one it actually took, and go back through my history on my prints and print that exact one out. So I don't think you'll ever have that problem. So anyway, I changed all the screws for the caps, flathead cap screws. So anyway, this video is getting too long. I was going to go over some of the tools I had to get. I had to, actually, let me just do that a little bit here. This one here is for the suppressor, or I mean the suppressor, for the buffer tubes, which is 1 3/16 by 16 threads per inch. So I had to get the male and the female. This one makes the male, the female makes the male, and the male makes the female. Shit. So then I had to update my taps for the, and my die set for the new Challenger. The new Challenger now have started using the 14 millimeter by 1.25 threads on the end of their barrels. Why, guys? What are you trying to do to us? You trying to make us crazy? You think we ain't got enough stuff to remember? So now my Pro that's coming is 14 millimeter by 1.25 threads, and my Challenger that this fits on is 14 millimeter by 1.0. So now I have to have two different taps for the same line of guns. Anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you had your Trump coffee before yours got cold like mine did. Let me see how it tastes. Yeah, terrible. Anyway, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Oh, one more thing. I got a light here that I've been using. I don't know if there's a glare off of it from my glasses. If there is, I guess I'm getting ready to find out when I go to the editor. But I got one of them studio lights, and I'm trying it out to kind of brighten things up for you guys so that you guys can see my parts a little bit better. So tell me how it looks, guys, if it's working out. Anyway, you guys have a good one. Later.